Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video, I gave my reading wrap-up for the week ending 2/14/2026. I completed one book this week, so I talked briefly about that book. I started and read some of another book, so I talked briefly about that book. I talk about my reading plans for the upcoming week. I talk about the video I released. I talk about the crochet project I'm working on. I talk about the music I listen to, and I talk about some other things going on in my life too. The book I completed was The Vampire Armand by Anne Rice. I'm reading this book as part of the Vampire Chronicles group, a group created and moderated by Elaine at Cobaltdragon. There are two other members besides myself that I will list in the description of this video. I talked a fair amount about this book in the past. It's the story of Armand starting around 500 years before the publication of the book and going into the current times. It's difficult read in spots, as I said, because he had a physical relationship with a several centuries old vampire starting when Armand was around 15. And although I know it's different times, it's still bit difficult to read, but overall I did enjoy the book. It was slow paced, but not in a bad way. A lot of dialogue, a lot of descriptions, but I did enjoy it. It'll probably be a 4 to 4.5 star book when I get around to rating it, and hopefully in the not too distant future I will do a review of it. Then I started Merrick by Anne Rice. This is the second book that we're reading as part of the Vampire Chronicles group. They're December, January reads, although I'm reading in February, but this book is told in the first person by David Talbot. Louis asks Armand if he is able to have Claudia's, we'll say ghost, I guess, risen up. I can't think of the exact words to say, but talk to her ghost. And the way David Talbot wants to do this is to have Merrick do this. Merrick is a powerful witch. She is a Mayfair, but a black Mayfair. It's been so long since I read the Mayfair Witches books that I don't remember if Merrick was talked about. When she was 14, she was invited into the Talamasca. The book goes back to those times, and then it also talks. The book starts in current times when David Talbot is in a restaurant talking to Merrick. Then it goes back to when she was first invited to become a member of the Talamasca. She was 14 at the time. Current times are about 20 years later. One issue I have with this book is that David Talbot, in my mind, sexualizes a 14-year-old. And I'm a little uncomfortable with that. And also, even from the beginning, is overly familiar with her, calling her darling and stuff. And that's kind of, I don't know. I just don't like that over-familiarization. Like the Vampire Armand, Merrick is kind of slow-paced. I'm mostly okay with that, though. It's still a decent read. I need to complete the book by Saturday because that's when the discussion is, where the Vampire Chronicles group is going to do a live stream to discuss the Vampire Armand and Merrick. I only released one video this week. That is the reading wrap-up for the week ending 2/7/2026. I'll talk later about why that was. My main reading plan for the upcoming week is to complete Merrick. That's the top goal. One thing I should say too when I say David Talbot sexualizes Merrick when she's 14. He's not yet a vampire at that point. That's a little spoiler, I suppose, if you haven't read the previous books, but I can't really talk about the book without saying he's in current times of the book a vampire. But 20 years ago, when he was what I call sexualizing Merrick, I'm not sure what I could say to go in more details of that, but it just gave me, just like the vampire Armand, his relationship with Marius, physical relationship gave me the ick. The way that David Talbot talks and thinks about Merrick when she was a child gives me the ick a little bit too. The other thing I'd like to do this week, if I could, is start Game Changer by Reid. Again, Merrick is my top priority, but I like to start this book too. And certainly, if I can't start this week, it will be my top priority for starting next week. Looking forward to reading it. Be my first sports romance. The crochet project I've been working on is the puff stitch scarf. It's kind of hard for me to show the whole thing because it's like close to 6 feet. When it's down to be 6 feet. Perhaps if I wrap it around, you can kind of see better. Let's see. But yeah, it's I think even though I don't know if I'm gonna wear this because it's kind of nice, but you can see maybe if I stand up a little bit, you can kind of see the length of it. Like I say, it's about 5.5 feet as I record this video. It's more than it was done as of 2/14 because I continued working on it, but I'm quite happy with this. It's a very relaxing project to do because although the stitch itself is hard, that's really the only one you're doing. You do like 9 in one row and you do a chain 3 and turn, and then you do 8 in the next, then a chain 2 and turn, and so on and so forth. And it's pretty relaxing doing it. Forgot to mention that I attended a Barnes & Noble virtual event. It was a Barnes & Noble virtual Valentine's Day treat. Lynn Painter and Allie Hazelwood. It was mainly to discuss Lynn Painter's book, Better Than the Movies, Collector's Edition. Quite interesting discussion. I am not familiar with Lynn Painter's work. I've heard the name. I have, as you know if you watched my videos recently read Allie Hazelwood's Bride and Mate and really like them. With this ticket to the virtual event comes a copy of Better Than the Movies, Collector's Edition, and Allie Hazelwood's book, which I don't remember offhand which that is, but it does come with a book from her too. I believe both are autographed. This is the third time I watched a virtual event that Allie Hazelwood is involved with. She is quite engaging, very amusing, very animated. As far as the music I listened to Aerosmith, and I watched a Valentine's Day live stream by Icon Twins, so I listened to their music in the live stream. As far as video games, I continued to play Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, and I continue to play Sudoku. I may soon be moving on from Fantasy Life. I've enjoyed it, but it is starting to get somewhat tedious. Games of this nature, which are sort of cozy, tend to be that way, but played over 200 hours of it, so we'll see. I'm doing level 4 in the Sudoku game. I did complete one level 4 puzzle, but the one I'm working on now is kind of bedeviling me, so I can't figure out what the next move is. Other than that, I was mostly home. I will later talk about the final resolution with my car. I've talked about the last 2 weekly wrap-ups. But I I didn't have my car as of Thursday, and there's some things I had to do. For the first time, I got an Uber driver. It might not sound like much, but for me, there's always a kind of a hump I got to get over to do stuff like that. I find it difficult to give up control. But I got an Uber driver, took me to CBS to pick up a med, to the library. I had some overdue books. The overdue fee for the books was like $2, but I only had a $20, so supervisor, the woman I initially talked to, said they could waive the fees, so that was good. Wouldn't have minded paying it. The books were late, but if they don't want to charge me, that's fine. Then the driver took me to my hairdresser. I had a hair cutting color appointment, which I didn't want to miss. I hate last minute canceling. And you can see the vibrant color. Another thing I did was I've been watching the Olympics a lot, the Winter Olympics. They're only every 4 years, so try to take advantage of it. Not to put too fine a line on it, but the older you get, the less of them you got. It's always true, but when you're 20, you don't think of like, what it's going to be like when you're 65. So really enjoying the Olympics. Because of watching the Olympics so much and because of the car situation, which has taken a little mental toll on me, I only released the one video as I mentioned, and I also haven't really been watching many videos. Apologies if I typically watch a video and I'm not, but just prioritizing the Olympics and kind of not pushing myself when I'm just not feeling up to doing things. Not that watching videos is like a hardship or anything, but it's mainly watching the Olympics. I'm watching them so much, there's really not time to watch lots of videos. Now I'm going to talk about the car situation. Because I talk a little bit about mental health, I put a notification at the bottom of the screen saying mental health discussion, although it's really mostly about the car. I hadn't heard anything about my car as of Tuesday of last week. I first sent a text, but I didn't get any response. Then I called, talked to the service manager. He said they were waiting for a part. There's 2 types of fusible links, and the one they needed for my car they didn't have. If you recall my last discussion, it appears that a AAA person misconnected the leads to jumpstart the battery, and that blew the fusible lead. That blew the fusible link. So he said like they had to get the part. They would get that Wednesday and a few hours work. Didn't hear Wednesday, so as I said, I went out Thursday because I had things to do, but got home from my hair cutting color appointment and I got a call from service manager. The car was ready. I asked if it's okay to pick it up the next day because I didn't feel like going back out again. He said fine. So went the next morning. Got it back. It was about maybe $950 total. He said they tested the battery, seemed okay, but just in case they replaced it. Afterwards, when I looked at the bill, that the battery part was covered by warranty. I also asked him what I should do to try to prevent this, and he said like every couple of weeks, take it up on the highway and drive for a few miles to get the car totally warmed up. I knew from before that was suggested as a good idea for a car. I mostly just drive around town. He said it didn't really matter whether I set it in it was in auto mode, which goes between the electrical battery and the hybrid engine. It's just a matter of getting it warmed up. And although I know that's good advice, I still struggle with the idea that the battery died after 5 days in a fairly new car. Around the same time I got my car, my sister leased a hybrid SUV. The name escapes me at the moment, but it's a popular kind of Toyota, but that doesn't matter. But it was sitting for 39 days unused, and the battery, it started, so I still struggle with the explanation that because my car sat for 5 days. That's why the battery died. But it is what it is. So I got it back Friday. Since then, I've gone out every day. For 3 weeks, I couldn't go out except twice. Once a friend brought me to the CVS to pick up Armand, and the time I mentioned where I got the Uber driver, actually 2 Uber drivers, because one different one drove me home. So good to get the car back, but it seems a little, I have a sense of vulnerability now, which I didn't have before with a new car. And it really, the whole situation kind of wearied me. That's where kind of the mental health comes in. Kind of wearied me. And I'm still kind of like a little bit recovering from that weariness. Certainly glad to have the car back. And hoping we don't have much in the way of the snow the rest of the year, so I don't have to get stuck with it at home. I think if I was to get stuck at home for a few days, even though it's not recommended, I'd probably start it up and let it run a little bit. I know they don't recommend that because they can wear stuff doing it that way, but if it prevents me from having to deal with this situation again anytime soon, I'm going to do it. I would be interested in knowing how your reading week went, books you're reading, what you think of them, music you listen to, if you'd like to let me know that too. Please reply in the comments. If you can't think of anything else to say, if you can't think of anything else you'd like to comment, please add an emoji, perhaps a car emoji for the fact that I have my car back now, or an emoji of your choice. I hope you have a wonderful reading week. I hope you have a wonderful week in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please subscribe, please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos.